On today's show, first up, we're taking you to round one of the Hi-Tec Drift Allstars series. Get ready to witness some of the best drifters in the country as they battle it out for the top spot on the podium. Then we return to Winton for round one of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series, featuring TA2 Muscle Car, the RX8 Series, and the Australian Super TT Championship. So sit back, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride as we bring you all the action. This is Speedweek. Hello and welcome to the opening round of the 2023 season for the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars series, and it all kicks off round number one here at Winton Motor Raceway, just 2 hours north of Melbourne in Victoria. Great conditions here, and you can see the crowd rolling in with over 50 competitors here this weekend between the Zoo Performance Pro-Am category and the Hi-Tec Oils Pro. And you see great footage there as we get around the Winton track. Huge layout. The front section we're doing in round number one. It is fast, it is flowing, and we've got plenty of door-to-door action coming your way. But first, let's catch up with some of the drivers who are here this weekend.
Things have just been so difficult. I think it's still hard to even get parts. Like, we started building this engine probably 3 months ago. Everything was hard to get, so many delays. Big thanks to all my crew. Like, we've been working tirelessly for 3 months pretty much. And we got this engine together probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Went to go for testing, dropped a valve on the dyno, and yeah, we turned it around. We managed to get the engine freshly rebuilt, new valves, all machined, back together on the dyno within less than a week. But that just meant we had like absolutely no testing at all. So we've come straight here. We actually wheel lined the car at 8 o'clock on the Friday, like here in the pit garage. Got out and track, did 3 laps, and unfortunately we actually broke the new diff. So yeah, it's going to be a spanner in the works. We spent all yesterday trying to get another diff, source things, and then we've gone out this morning. I've actually broken a throttle body shaft. And unfortunately, like, no one's got a shaft here or anything like that. So it looks like we're out, but don't worry, we'll come back stronger for the next season.
So yeah, Matty Grice here. Here to have a crack at my first full season in pro. I think we got 1 round in before COVID. We've had a bit of time off with COVID now, and I missed last season after having open heart surgery, so we took 12 months off of that. So it's it's really good to be back here at Winton. We love this track, home track, and here to throw down with the boys. The car feels amazing. We've done everything, gearbox, the G1010A through Zoo Performance, the winner's diff. Hi-Tec came on board, and we got a Hi-Tec in it now. We got it to where it needs to be here, and it feels amazing.
Stepping up to the pro, I'm finding that these boys are a whole lot faster than before. We're running these sticky tyres, and the speed and stuff is a lot more intense than the Pro-Am, but I'm enjoying it. I like driving fast.
Car is absolutely singing this weekend. I'm not really feeling the best, a bit faint, but with the pit crew, the car doing the job, it's actually made it surprisingly simple for me because there's not much going on up here this weekend. All I'm doing is just do the lap. That's all I'm thinking about, and it seems to be coming together pretty well so far.
Well, it's time to find out what the judges will be looking for as we have a look at the Australian Drift Club track preview now. Glenn Atkins alongside me. What are the judges looking for?
So coming into the first turn, we're wanting that lead car to fill that first box. Coming into turn 2, we want the lead car to be a metre off. Again, turn 3, metre off. And then come here, metre off, and then come into the last section, fill it, flick back over, touch and go over the line.
Yeah, big power on as they come to that final turn, and that is what the judge is going to be looking for, that metre off the apex of each corner there. We'll have a look at it. It'll really slow it down now, Glenn, this time as they come out in the lead. You can see the initiation there, the Corvette of Patrick Barley. They feel that full zone, don't they? Judge zone number 1.
Exactly. I wanted a good feel there, which is, we got that off a lot of guys. And then coming into turn 1, you're going to have a metre off so that the chase car can tuck in, and then flick back, lead driver, metre off. Again, chase car can come tuck in nice.
Really looking for those snappy transitions as well. We don't want them being sloppy coming onto angle. Set the angle up really quickly, snap onto angle, drive the car through those zones. But here it is, the big power zone.
Yeah, this was good. We wanted everyone to be out in that fuel zone and then lead, flick back, quick flick back going up the hill, and then just touch that box and then over the line.
Fantastic to have this virtual layout of our track here at Winton Motor Raceway and coming into the 2023 season. Glenn, tell us some of the advantages this is going to have for the drivers this season.
We really wanted to bring more amp to the actual drivers, so we've taken things a little bit different. We've brought in a virtual series, so we've done a virtual layout. We give to the drivers a week before the event. That's our goal at the moment. It's just going to make the drivers a lot more faster, a lot more aggressive in it because they know the lines they've got. So this year, with all my technical knowledge and everything from the prior years that we've been running, it's just going to amp this season up. So it's going to be a good year. Watch the drivers. It's going to be a lot more action-packed, a lot more faster.
My name's Erin Burns. I've joined the judging team for Hi-Tec this year. Very excited to do it. I've normally been on the driver's side of things. I've been drifting for about 10 years, more at a club level in Sydney. Been to a few different places, but it's nice to be on the other side, see some different things.
And after the qualifying session, let's see who's made it in the top end, starting with the Zoo Performance Pro-Am category. Jordan Sanderson topping the charts there, followed by Jordan Putkins, Ben Bretnell, Sean Mickelhatton, Kieran Ratcliffe, Jory Bretkoff, Kurt Dunn and Tim Constantin. And the top 8 in the Hi-Tec Oils Pro category. Up the top, he's back. Brad Toohey, followed by James Abbott in second. Roger Anson from South Australia in third. The young gun Saxon Moores in fourth. And it's Matt Murphy, the big step up to pro. Jordan Putkins going in both categories this weekend. Chris Sadler and Jordan Sanderson. Another one of our drivers who want to go in both categories this weekend, Pro-Am and Pro. Check out some of the highlights from our top 24. You've seen Colin Keogh chasing down Benny Meir there with a big straight, and that did not go well. Scott Shembry was leading out over Matty Grice, and didn't they put a smoke show on this weekend? Of course, Flash Smith stepping up into the Pro category there. That was a tough battle as well. Ben Bretnell and Adam Burgess, who's back in the BMW, now LS Power. Good to see him back out on track. And Glenn Benny Hodges and Sam Mudge.
That was a great battle. Like, them two were hard to judge.
Next up, it was Josh Collins, who's new to the series, and great to have him here at Winton Motor Raceway, but concerned to see Glenn Omerod driving off the track in that really reliable 86, but having dramas this weekend. Let's go and find out what's going on.
Yeah, we got Glenn with us. Glenn, you look really shattered, mate. What happened? Took off the line and just aborted.
Yeah, didn't qualify the best and went to enter turn one, and as soon as I chucked it in, the gearbox just said goodbye. So, a bit unfortunate. We put a lot of effort into this car, and yeah, we'll be back round 2 with a new gearbox then.
Yeah, maybe that's that the new engine might be going on hold for a bit, mate. Look, it's only round 1. We got the cobblers out, getting into round 2.
Tough luck there for Glenn, but have a look at the footage here. Ominous signs in the background as the clouds are rolling in, but here's how the top 16 are going to look in the Hi-Tec Oils Pro category. Brad Toohey will take on Warwick Hill. Jordan Sanderson, Aaron Dewar will go head-to-head. Saxon Moyes and Benny Meir is going to be great. Matt Murphy will take on Ben Hodges.
Yeah, on the right side, we've got James Abbott versus Josh Collins, Chris Sadler and Patrick Barley versing it. Roger Anson, he's out there on his own. Then moving on to Jordan and Scott Shembry.
Well, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Let's have a look at our first battle coming up, and it's going to be Jordan Sanderson leading us out on the right-hand side of track over the big V8 of Aaron Dewar. Great to have him back here in the series as they throw it in. Jordan Sanderson really laying the line. Dewar, no issue, tucking right up on the back corners. They switch back, though. Dewar, uncharacteristic as the car comes back very viciously there and nearly spins out, takes a whole lot of curb, and it's a big advantage to Jordan Sanderson on that run. Very different here. The cars used to be on the left-hand side. We'll check out the Trias replay though. Glenn, run us through that.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shame there. Like, Dewar coming in, he was lined up real good, but just had a bit too much angle and stalled up. As you can see here, a bit of a stall and then correction. Sort of giving it away to Jordan. Jordan just pulls on and yeah, Dewar's left trying to chase.
Well, that's a big advantage, but now they've got to turn around. Dewar's going to lead out. He could change everything here. As we see a cone go down the back, there's already tyre smoke coming off the back wheels. And Dewar has got plenty of power in this car. Look at him, smokes up the tyres coming to turn 1, sets himself up nicely, leaves a bit of gap. He's already opening up a space on Jordan Sanderson. But Sanderson not making huge mistakes in the background, maybe just losing some proximity in that battle there. You think, though, big advantage to Jordan Sanderson. Let's check out the replay.
Yeah, look at that line. Dewar comes in, some nice good start. Second corner, perfect. Unfortunately for Dewar, like, he's setting down a really good line, but for his first battle, it's sort of put him behind.
Yeah, the most important thing is you have to do a great lead as well as a great chase run. Here we go. Saxon Moyes taking on Benny Meir. Moyes opened up a huge gap in the 2J Power at 86 as he throws it in the young gun. They've been battling drive shaft issues this weekend, and a coupling that went astray, and they had to go and find it. Got the car back together and look at him open up a big gap there on Benny Meir. It's a quick car, the 86.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you can see it, like the speed that the car produces is great. Like, just comes into that corner, throws in nice, and just holds it. Look at the line. It's just exactly where all the judges wanted.
We'll have to wait and see what Benny Meir can do in a lead position, though. That is coming up next. Look how much of a gap he opens up, Saxon Moyes. Can he slow the car down? Now he's going to hear all that noise of the big LS of Benny Meir, though, as he takes off. Throws it into the first corner. Benny Meir sets himself up. He's very tight, though, close to that ripple strip. Saxon Moyes puts the nose in. Oh, very straight, though, through that second corner. That might hurt him the score. Now a huge straight from him. Benny Meir gets on the power, smokes those tyres up and across the finish line to get this run done. This one's going to be so close. Let's check out the Trias replay. Glenn.
Saxon coming in for that nice tuck. Again, flicks back, perfect. Benny Meir setting up a good line for him. Here, a good transition there. That's great. Benny Meir a bit over the judging point there, but that was a good battle.
All right, we'll head over to Matt Murphy. He's got the fresh war paint on this weekend. Big step up in the pro category, all thanks to Zoot Performance in 2023. Ben Hodges behind him in this rebuilt car. Just 18 months ago, it was on its lid here at this very track in the back M section. Matt Murphy laying down a nice line on the power. Goes wide right over the ribble strip. That's got to be very bumpy inside. Another wheel off as they transition back. Ben Hodges tucks in nicely. Let's check out the Trias replay, Glenn.
Yeah, look, you got Matt Murphy here setting a pace, and Ben Hodges just all over him. He's just not letting him go. It's just sticking it to him. The line here wasn't the best there for Matt. As you see here, is off the line majorly. Could have had a pretty bad acco there, but they both pulled it off.
Looks like conditions changing here at Winton Motor Raceway as Ben Hodges leads them out and the windscreen wipers are on. This is going to change absolutely everything. Look how slippery and greasy it is on track. The wheels have barely any traction at all, and he's doing a great job, Benny Hodges, just to control the wheel speed at the rear. Matt Murphy, can he stay with him now? Ben Hodges opens up a little bit. Murphy wide again. I don't know how these drivers are doing it in these conditions. It's just come out of nowhere, the rain. We saw the clouds rolling in earlier, but it has just fallen on track now. Super wet out there, and as we go through the replay, Glenn, very tough from both drivers.
It was hard, like a lot of lock there from Ben. Matt Murphy trying to tuck in there. Change of conditions is hard. Like, I give it to these boys, but as you can see, they're adapting to the weather.
And Benny Hodges with that great chase run before gets himself the win. Next up, though, is going to be our number 2 qualifier, James Abbott in Nigella, the S15, and behind him, spinning off, it's Josh Collins, who stepped up in the pro category this weekend so he could stay in the fight. And that's going to be a huge advantage to James Abbott now as he just needs to sail through here in the S15. You can see him being very ginger on that throttle and clutch at the moment. The conditions, it's raining a bit heavier in some sections of the track. We can see where it's just a little bit drier in other parts as well. This one's going to be really tough for the competitors.
Yeah, as you can see here, it's like Josh didn't know where he needed to be with speed. Being slippery, he had no option just to bail out. So unfortunate for Josh on that one.
The first time they've had wet conditions, we didn't see anything when it came to practice or qualifying earlier in the weekend. Collins, though, sets himself up, switches back. He might have got it right this time as he leads out. James Abbott, though, has to do whatever he can to not make contact as Collins just drives away. A lot less power in that car, so you might find controlling the wheel speed just a little bit easier than it is for James Abbott with the big 2J. He gets up there, Collins, but he did spin off in that first one. That's going to be a massive disadvantage as we have a look at the Tri-Ace replay, Glenn.
Yeah, I think power is a disadvantage here for Jabbett. Josh is he's just got the grip there because of the lower power car, so he's got a good line, but unfortunately, as we've seen with that spin on the first battle, it didn't help him in any bit. And yeah, Jabbett goes through.
Well, you got to put back-to-back runs together. Here we go. Here's a bit of horsepower going up against each other. It's going to be Chris Sadler in the V8 Ute taking on Patrick Barley in the C6 Corvette. Now, both these drivers have as much power as they want in dry conditions, but now they've got to try and control that in the wet. How much grip can they find in these cars? You can see Sadler there very shallow there on the ripple strip, which will hurt him in the judging. Patrick Barley just has to go around the outside. I think that Corvette's actually gripped up really well in the rain because you can see he's struggling to actually slow the car down at some points throughout that. We'll have a look at the replay here. This one's going to be super interesting because they know the conditions. They haven't done one run on a dry, one run on a wet. They've had to come into this very, very greasy.
Yeah, so like as you see here, he's just got a bit more grip. So as you can see, he's pulled out behind, and yeah, it's just, I don't know, he's got the suspension dialed in pretty well. It's just sort of gripping up for him, and yeah.
Well, they've had a moment now to change tyre pressures, haven't they? We saw our first couple of battles in the rain. They were stuck with whatever they had out on track. Look at him go away. He's got some confidence in the Corvette because he really opens the gap up, throws him with some speed. He's going to have to use all that lock he's got on board too to pull the car up, try and slow it down. Nice line. He's really on the line, actually. I thought he might have gone a little bit wide there. Seems to pull the car up. Sadler in the background, well, it's a big, chunky Aussie ute there, and he's not keeping up with the very nimble 6.6 Corvette of Patrick Barlow. Just goes off the track. You can see how much traction once he hits the mud on the side. Yeah. Great shots on our replay here as we look out the back of Patrick Barlow's car.
As you can see, like, the line is going to be hard for these kind of powers, and Barley's just dialed it in. He's delivering. It's great.
A lot of work going on in the background there with his dad as well, and the Tony and the crew in the background. Here we go. Number 1 qualifier, Brad Toohey in the Zestino GT86 out in front. And it's great to see the return this time of Warwick Hill.
Yeah, it's good to see, like, 2 of the older boys coming back into the series. It's definitely going to be great.
Plenty of experience. We know they've done this under wet conditions before, side by side. It's all going to come down to experience in these conditions for me, Glenn, though. You can see that. 2 very experienced drivers. They've drifted in dry and wet. They know their own cars. And we'll check out the Trias replay here. They're doing a great job.
Yeah, there's a couple of bit of errors from both drivers, so it did make it a bit harder to judge. But as you can see, you got Brad just putting down a nice line and Warwick just trying to emulate.
Really got to try and control that throttle in these conditions and try and get as much drive as possible. This time, though, Warwick Hill's going to be in the lead. How much courage does he have? How fast does he want to throw it in? And look at him, he's wild into turn 1, but now it just understeers. Goes straight. He's off the track and hits a tyre barrier. Not good for Warwick Hill. Brad Toohey will continue on. A little bit of a move in his front wheel there too for Toohey, yeah. So this might have been a bit lucky for him, but you can see the Zestino's tyres, GT86, gets himself a nice confident win in this battle. I think Warwick Hill just taking that big speed in could have been a massive advantage for him at that point there if he could get around the track like we saw from Patrick Barley in the previous battle. As we go on board here, you can see once it goes wide, it's very greasy where we haven't got a lot of rubber on there this weekend and straight into those tyre barriers. Unfortunate for Warwick Hill, and hopefully not too much damage sustained in this battle. But here we go. The next battle is going to be Jordan Putkins taking on Scott Shembry, the Master Chef himself. What can he do in the Hi-Tec Blaze unit BMW there? He's had to seal up the sunroof this weekend due to the rain, so that's a bit of a disadvantage for him. No air flowing over his head like he likes to see. But Putkins there, this car, very ginger on the throttle there. Turbocharged LS on board, so it's making a heap of torque. And I don't know where he's finding all this drive from. That has super amounts of grip compared to Shembry as we have a look at the Tri-Ace replay.
Yeah, well, as you can see, like, this is totally a perfect example of different setup cars. Like, Shembry's got a high-speed car and just struggling to get the grip, and just Putkins is just dialing it in and just pulling away.
Yeah, I know. Well, check it out with Shembry in the lead, though. How fast does he want to go into turn 1, though, in the Hi-Tec Oils BMW? Here we go. He's got the lock wound on, and he pulls the car up. How much speed does he wash off, though? Putkins has no drama staying with that. The proximity is nice as they switch back. You'd expect they're probably not going to be hitting all the points the judges were looking for just due to the conditions out there. And Scott Shembry, well, he only knows one way, fast, and he's probably looking to go a little bit quicker in that car because he loves to put a show on for the crowd, and the wheels go off, and I think he knows he's at a bit of a disadvantage at this point. We'll check out the Trias replay, though.
Yeah, it's saying that the judging's a bit harder for the drivers, being that the weather changed, and they've got to adapt to it. So everything's taken in considerations here. So as you can see, Shembry's stalled it up there, and you got Jordan just pulling in.
You can really see how heavy the rain is, though, the amount of water spray coming off the back tyres. Here we go from South Australia, though. Roger Anson now throws it in the S15. Here with his dad this weekend, the small crew. They're really, really competitive. And in the background, though...
Mark, what happened, buddy?
Mark Martinen just goes off there. Another victim. If you go too wide on that first right-hander, it is very greasy, and the track sort of goes off camber a bit, I suppose, midway through the track, and we've seen 2 drivers caught out there in these very tough conditions here this weekend.
Exit to the left.
Let's check out the Trias replay. Anson does a nice job. You can see a fair bit of steering movement there. Mike McTurnan, though, he just goes off onto the grass. Luckily, he misses anything solid, though, which will save the car.
Well, you can see, like, he had a lot of lock there, trying to pick up the front end, but unfortunately didn't grab.
Let's see how he goes as he leads out this time. He's got to be a little bit nervous after that chase run, but he throws it in here nicely. The car looks like it's going to pull up on lock as well. Janssen just puts the nose of the S15 in there. Wait for the transition back. Janssen doing everything right as a chase car here at the moment. These testing conditions here, the final corner as they come out. Bit of a shame for the Illawarra towing competitor. It's the chase run for me. We're going to see Roger Janssen here definitely go through in this one. We'll check out the Tri-Ace replay.
Yeah, as you can see, like, Mark stepping it back up, putting down the goods here, like, great line. Everything's perfect, like, everything. Like, he's dialed it in nice. He's got the power to pull him out of this corner. The transition is great, but unfortunately for his first battle, it's knocked him out.
Tough conditions here at Winton Motor Raceway. We're going to go to a short break, though. Do not go anywhere. We're going to be back with your top 8 battles when it comes to the Hi-Tec Oils Drift All-Stars series. Oh, welcome back. We're here for round number 1 of the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars series at Winton Motor Raceway. It's great to be here. Tough conditions for our competitors, though. We started off with dry conditions, now wet conditions. And it's all led us here to the top 8 in the Hi-Tec Oils Pro category. Brad Toohey will take on Jordan Sanderson. Benny Meir will battle it out with Benny Odgers. It'll be James Abbott taking on Patrick Barley, and Roger Janssen will battle out with Jordan Putkins. Let's head, though, into this one. Ben Odgers is going to lead us out over Benny Meir. It's the two Bens going at it. Good to see Odgers back here at Winton Motor Raceway, and doesn't look like it's taken away any of his confidence from the last time he made an outing. This fresh rebuilt car looking absolutely fantastic. Just looking for any bit of drive he can find in the wet conditions. Benny Meir in the background just mounts a ripple strip with the front wheel. And Odgers, you can hear him on and off the throttle, but you can't overcome the big V8 of Benny Meir in the background, the 311 Motorsport car. Have a look at the Tri-Ace replay, and it just looks like we've slowed everything down from qualifying, doesn't it?
Yeah, look, the wet is really being a punish on all the drivers here. As you can see, like, Ben is just dialed in for the conditions. Ben Meir is just trying his heart out, trying to get back up there. Bit of a straight here and there, but look, it is what it is. Unfortunate with the weather.
Tough conditions, like we said, but it all comes down to how much the drivers want to risk it, and maybe some of the setup changes they've done to their car while they've had this moment to reset for the top 8. Benny Meir leads us out this time, and it slides into one. You can see it coming on. More and more lock. The front bar's off. Well, that's just a consumable nowadays when it comes to drifting at the front and rear bar. Benny Meir will turn that car around. That's very unfortunate. Just slid on. You see him get way too much angle there, and there's nothing you can do in these conditions from then, Glenn.
Nah, look, everything was on limit, but you could see it. Like, they've come in good, like, nice angle, just pushing, and then unfortunately turns it around.
Yeah, nowhere to go for Ben Odgers, unfortunately, in the background there, so big advantage, and he will get the win.
It's just been running around the pits trying to get a bit of an idea of what everyone's doing to sort of convert to the wet weather setups. But if you want to find the man to get the goss, anyone doesn't know this is Alan Barley. It's Patrick's dad who built that Frankenstein Corvette that you've seen down there. Has a massive sprint car background and really good mechanical understanding. Thought we'd grab him a couple of sections to get a bit of an insight. What are some tips and tricks that the guys can be doing to get an actual grip in the wet? We can see Paddy's car was very hooked up.
You want secrets?
You give us what you want to give us, mate.
Let's let this car go past. Things like width of tyre pressure, like the wider the tyre, the more they aquaplane, the looser the car is. We never run big wide tyres anyway because the thing's so hooked up. But so tyre width, tyre pressure, the difference between the rear width of the car and the front of the car. So the wider the front is in relation to the back, the harder it is for the back to pass it if once it's sideways. Scrub radius on the front, which transfers weight to the rear wheels when you're on a full lock situation. Obviously in the rain you spend more time on locks than you do in the dry. We run double adjustable shocks everywhere, so we can pop the front, we can hold the back down, which keeps the weight transfer in place. So, that's really the basis.
Yeah. Look, guys, you can obviously see a wealth of knowledge. We could be here all day listening to Alan. We're going to get back out to the battles. Thanks, Alan.
This one's going to be great, though. James Abbott and the big powered 2J taking on the 434 cubes of Chevy Power. Patrick Barley, who comes in fast, spins the car out. Wow. Didn't he want to push James Abbott all the way into that first corner? I can't wait to see the replay on this one. James Abbott will finish this drift off. Patrick Bailey looks like he's just got a tiny bit of damage now on the front of the Corvette and that carbon body. Well, wait. Oh, Abbott goes wide. How did he miss that barrier? I don't know how that happened again. Oh, no contact almost made again. This one's a wild battle, and this is the first of them. They've got to turn around, and Patrick Barley's still got to lead. We'll check out the Trias replay.
Yeah, you can see it's like Patrick was coming in trying to match up the speed, but unfortunately just a little bit too much and just picked up the back of James's rear bar. Here you can see, Jabbett just driving for the condition. He's going a little bit wide here. You can see it. Oh, he just misses that.
I don't reckon you could put a credit card there between that barrier and his back corner.
Oh, so close.
Oh, the orange high barrier's nearly copped a little bit of a hit there. All right, Patrick Bargalee's going to lead us out, and he wants to go quick in the Corvette. And again, he pushes it. Wow, it's almost the same as when he was in the chase position there, but Abbott's not in his way. Patrick Barley will recoup this and try and get through, but James Abbott just needs to hold it together here if he wants to get the win. Big power there from Patrick Barley. You can hear it, the big RPM. Wow, that car's super quick in a straight line, isn't it? But when he throws it in, and you've got to admit, he's trying to throw it on an angle very, very quickly and be super aggressive, but I don't think it's working in the conditions.
Over angle, that was crazy. That was a big attempt for the turn one. And luckily, Jabbett wasn't all over him, so they didn't collide. And then, you just see it, they pick it up and then drive it out.
Look, in the back, I really was hoping he might pull that off, because how good would that have looked? Here we go, though. Jordan Sanderson will chase down Brad Toohey now back in front of the Destino 86. Brad Toohey gets it in the corner nicely. You can see how much water's now building up on the inside of that ribble strip for Jordan Sanderson. Toohey drives it through. He's a little bit shallow there. Tough in these conditions, though. Jordan Sanderson, though, something's gone wrong for him in the background there. The car's gone offline. He's just trying to control it as they get up here. Both cars, V8 powered, of course. Plenty of torque on board. We'll have a look at the Tri-Ace replay.
You got a bit of a straight here from Jordan. Off the track, back on. Brad Toohey just driving. Again, just driving it out. You can see here, unfortunately, just didn't have the front end grip, you could see, and it just threw him off to the right.
It's just going to be a little moment like that could really be to your detriment in these battles as they take off. Jordan Sanderson, though, will get to set the pace this time, be a little bit more comfortable. Brad Toohey's going to apply the pressure. They puts the nose out in front in the 86. It's a lot more nimble than the Ute, though. Sanderson there gets in too. He's in very early. He has to slide the car in. Has to use all of his experience there. Sanderson goes wide, though. Toohey pulls the car up. He's just going to step back a moment there, and as they drive it through, no surprise to see why Brad Toohey's a three-time Hi-Tec Oils Drift champion before this event. Great to have him back there and use that experience. He throws it in really early, doesn't he?
Yeah, and like that straight from Jordan definitely didn't help him. And Brad Toohey is doing the line, so straight away, this is in Brad's favour. Again, a bit shallow again there from Jordan. Finishing off strong, but unfortunately the start was not good.
Roger Anton, the South Australian, will lead us out now over Jordan Putkins in that turbocharged LS S13. Anson, though, so clinical in his driving. You can see him doesn't want to push the car too much, just trying to stay on the line, getting the car through. And there's a slightly drier groove starting to appear in our vision there, and you can see the acceleration of the cars. There's a little bit more speed coming out of them. How much they really want to risk it as a driver, I suppose. You get the wheel just slightly wide where it's a little bit more slipperier. Everything could go wrong. We'll check out the Tri-Ace replay here, and Glenn, Roger Anson just laying down these lines.
Consistent the whole day. He's been consistent between dry, wet, everything. He's always still seems to be on the right line. He's just doing the little corrections, but the guy's delivering. It's good to see.
Yeah, it's just him and his dad here this weekend, and they've come over to really put some pressure on our competitors in the Hi-Tec Oils Drift Series. Hootkins there throws the angle on, and he does leave a little bit of room. Anson has to go through a splash of water in turn number one. They transition back, nice switch back, just grabs a little bit of ripple strip for Roger Anson. He's not making too many mistakes, but look at the proximity. He wants to rub panels here. There's only a foot between them the whole way through.
Finishing strong, you can hear the limiter bashing there. But no, look, coming in turn one, it was a little bit wide on the exit, but Roger just tucked in nice. You can see here a little bit more angle from Roger on that transition.
Not
Again.
afraid to put the car in there, is he, with the proximity? Really knows exactly where the car is. He has a good feel for it. I mean,
100%.
that's part of drifting, isn't it? Just knowing how big your car is and where it is out on track. Well, we're going to be back after a short break here for round number 1 of the Hi-Tec Oils Drift All-Stars series with your top 4 in the Zoo Performance Pro-Am. Welcome back to a very wet Winton Motor Raceway here for round number 1 of the Hi-Tec Oils Drift All-Star Series. Plenty of things happening in the pits at the moment and cars being worked on. Let's check out some of the highlights from our Zoo Performance Pro-Am Top 8. You can see Jordan Sanderson driving in both categories this weekend, doing really well in the Pro-Am as well as the Pro. And then it's Jory Bretkoff taking on Ben Bretnell, who spins out in that lead run there, which is a real disadvantage when it comes to the scoring with the judges, and then spins out again. The rain just keeps coming down though, Glenn. We see moments where it stops and it starts to dry out and the rain comes back. So tough for the drivers.
Yeah, definitely hard.
Very, very hard. Let's check it out though. Our top 4 for the Zoo Performance Pro-Am category. Jordan Sanderson will take on Kieran Ratcliffe and Jordan Putkins will take on Jory Bretkoff. So this one's going to be an interesting, seeing that we've seen Putkins and Sanderson in the Pro category as well. They've done so many laps around here. As you can see, the conditions have changed again, starting to dry out as Putkins leads us out over Jory Bretkoff, who puts a little SR, puts the nose right in there. A little bit of a straighten through there. Really not a lot of angle, and straightens through this part as well. He's struggling with the car. As we see Jordan Putkins there, just puts the car through the corners there, exactly where the judges wanted to see him. And I don't know where he's finding all the drive in a turbocharged LS in wet conditions.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you can see, like, it's dry, wet, dry, wet. The grip level would be crazy for him out there. So sticking it to what they're doing is definitely good. It was harder to judge between it, but unfortunately the mistakes were very obvious at the end.
Well, Jory Bretkoff's got nothing to lose at this point, and you know he's going to try and lay down a tough lead line. Jordan Putkins just needs to get the car home. Doesn't want to do anything silly in the chase position. He closes up the proximity. Jory Bretkoff switches the car back nicely. He's a metre out from the ribble strip, but it's straight again. He's really struggling at the moment, Jory Bretkoff, which we're not used to seeing from him. He's super consistent when it comes to the Zoo Performance Pro-Am category. And Putkins there with a strong chase run there in what is a wet track.
Definitely a buff out there at the moment. Good angle. I was liking the angle from both drivers. And then switching back, good delivery, but as you can see, the exit, both of them were offline. There's a little bit of a straighten and then just coming over the back.
Well, as you can see in the background, still rain clouds surrounding us here at Winton Motor Raceway as Jordan Sanderson leads us out over Kieran Ratcliffe. And Sanderson throws the big ute, and Ratcliffe's got a whole whip of angle on in the background, but it's too early. Has to straighten up, mounts the ribble strip. That's going to hurt him in turn 1. Sanderson just trying to get the ute manoeuvred through this track. Nice proximity. How wide does he push it here, though, and how much throttle do we want to listen to? Wow, the V8 tries to power it down the main straight to finish things off. Kieran Ratcliffe, though, with some fundamental issues there in turn number 1. Not quite sure why he threw it in so early. You can see it here from the overhead vision, though, can't you, Glenn?
Well, you can see, like, Kieran's coming in, like, in the dry, that's where we wanted the cars to be. The entry was perfect, but the problem is with this wetness, it was just no grip. No grip, so unfortunate for Kieran.
And those shots really show in the first couple of corners. We're getting dry patches out there as well, so it's could bring a few drivers unstuck as we continue on with these battles. Kieran Ratcliffe's going to lead out over Jordan Sanderson this time, and he sets himself up nicely, looking a lot more comfortable with the pace this time. They switch back nicely. You can see those dry patches starting to come out as well. He's looking comfortable though this run. Kieran Ratcliffe, how wide does he want to go? He's right up, grabs that puddle over the ribble strip. Jordan Sanderson leaves him a little bit of room, doesn't push the car out too wide in the JN built VE Ute.
Yeah. Looking at this run, you can see Kieran actually closes the door a little bit on Jordan here. So a little bit of a deduction there. And then a good transition, switch back. Jordan's coming in nice, picking up the gains, just hanging it there. That was nice, and then coming over the finish.
Well, I'm just getting the scent of tyre smoke slowly coming back after looking at those track conditions. Dry spots, a little bit of a whisper of tyre smoke. It's what we love seeing in Australian drifting here, but they're getting ready for the Hi-Tec Oils Pro category, and here's your top 4. Brad Toohey taking on Benny Odgers. That's going to be a tough one. and James Abbott and Roger Hansen, two S15s going at it. Let's start him off though. The veteran, the man. He's been a 3-time champion. Brad Toohey leads out in the Zestino GT86 over the Link ECU S15 of Benny Hodges. And here as they throw it in, you can see the conditions are starting to dry out. Toohey's exploring the speed a little bit more, pushing the car and the tyre smokes back, but no, a whole heap of angle. Mounts a ripple strip, misses that clipping point as well. He's very, very shallow. Ben Hodges, though, some big mistakes in the background as well, Glenn.
Yeah, well, you can see, like, the grip levels jumped crazy since the boys have been out there. So they're tackling some big changes here. So you can see, like, Brad's going from slow to a real snappy, fast pickup. And then that's why, like, coming out of this turn, he had so much grip. The only place he could go was straight.
Benny Hodges in that middle section there, you could tell he just had understeer on the car. You could see him lock a little bit of angle on the front wheels, but it just didn't want to turn. Once it snapped, he was fine. But he's going to lead out this time and set his own pace. Brad Toohey's going to have to tuck in behind him, and with his changing conditions, depending on where you are on the track, it might get you unstuck. He puts the 86 up on the inside though. Toohey big straight in there as a dive in on Benny Hodges. And Hodges there, shallow on that corner there. Can he push all the way out? Can't go to that outer fill zone. Neither does Brad Toohey either. And this one's really tough to judge though, Glenn, because there's some very fundamental differences between the lead line and the chase line.
Yeah, we definitely got, for both runs, we've got a lot of corrections, a lot of straightens. So yeah, it was difficult to get a settled score. Yeah, as you can see, like, yeah, it was tight. Like, Ben there closed the gap on Brad, but both of them didn't feel the outer clips on both sides on the exit.
Well, and they're battling for their spot to see if they can go to the podium here, our top 4 battles. And it's James Abbott leading out over Roger Hansen, who's been clinical this weekend. And James Abbott gets out on that really greasy outer limits there. And as they transition back, a little bit of contact made. And now Nigella's back bar is just hanging on for dear life as they head through the final corners. And still drying out on that final corner as they come onto the main straight. And the bar will fly off. Roger Hansen doing a nice job in the background. I don't see that as an issue there where he made contact, because he's just, well, it's really James Abbott there that goes offline and then comes back across
offline,
in front.
And then offline again, crazy. Like, it's going to be so slippery out there. So you can see the speed loss there. Comes back in, collects that turn, off the point here, getting back out there, not enough. So, yeah, look, the contact wasn't really in favour for Jabs because, yeah, he was way offline.
Right, the second of our battles in the top 4 here for our Hi-Tec Oils Pro category, and Roger Hansen's going to lead out, and he's probably going to feel a bit better about this one after that contact being made before. And he throws in James Abbott, really pulls up nice and tight, tries to get the nose in on the inside, but Roger Hansen set himself up really good to get the drive out of that corner. And look at this, can he feel that out of zone? He gets close. Not a whole heap of angle, but what do you expect in these conditions?
Well, look, the speed has jumped dramatically since, top 8 now. Look, you can see Jabbett throwing it in, trying to tuck in. Look at the grip. It's like just grips up on him now. So a little bit of smoke. James just trying to do anything he can to catch back up. But yeah, Roger, look, as you said, Matty, he's just been all over it all weekend.
We just get a little look at where the front tyres are on James Abbott's car there, and I think he's working really hard behind the wheel at this one. And we get a one more time between these two drivers, so they're going to have to go at it again, and James Abbott will lead out on the one more time, and it's very similar. It doesn't go quite as wide, and I reckon it's lucky the back bar's already gone. He would have lost it again. Roger Hansen just tucking the nose and has to straighten up and go on the inside, and James Abbott goes really wide now. And he's made that barrier now. The orange high barrier's got himself a little bit of contact made in that final corner there. We'll check out the Trias replay though. Run us through it, Glenn.
Yeah, look, you can see James is just driving the hell out of the car. Like, he's trying everything just to bring his score back up from the battle before, and unfortunately collects that barrier.
We're seeing him very unsettled in the car for James Abbott. Now, contact was made when, obviously, between himself and Patrick Barley in the previous run. Maybe he's carrying some damage on that car that we don't quite know about at this point. We'll have to wait and find out. Roger Hansen's looking really strong, though, as a lead driver, and we'll check him come into turn number 1 and turns the car through, but he's very shallow there. You can tell by that puddle that everyone's driving through. They're not that metre off the ripple strip that the judges wanted to see through that clipping zone, but look how fast he is through the back section there, and no drama trying to fill those zones, so we head down to the main straight. Roger Hansen would have a big advantage, I would say, Glenn, coming into this one.
Yeah, look, you can see, like, coming in there, James come in real hot. He collected into Roger. Both drivers got a lot of work to be done here. not really filling the points that they needed to, but look, Roger in the end came in with cleaner lines.
Tough conditions there for our top 4 in the Hi-Tec Oils Pro category, and we are set to see who is going to make it on the podium a little bit later on. In the meantime, everyone's just hiding out from these rainy conditions here at Winton Motor Raceway, trying to stay nice and dry because we've still got plenty of action going on track. And here it is, the Zoo Performance Pro-Am Finals about to come your way. It's going to be Kieran Ratcliffe taking on Jory Bretkoff for the 3rd position on the podium, and Jordan Sanderson will take on Jordan Putkins to see who's going to be number 1. Let's check it out though. Kieran Ratcliffe will lead us out over Jory Bretkoff in the background. And Jory just seems to be struggling with some power issues in the car there, throws it in very late. Kieran Ratcliffe, no issues there in the skyline, getting it round. We can start to see the tyre smoke coming off. It's drying out on track. It's speeding up. Jory Bretkoff trying to close down that proximity, but unfortunately he started off really slow in that one. I'm not quite sure what's happening with the car. Maybe some issues. We'll check out the Tri-Ace replay. Run us through it, Glenn.
Yeah, look, it's a bit of a shame. Maybe he's just battling some issues from coming from the wet to the dry, but you should see Kieran's just doing this goods and driving it out and just completing a good lap.
Well, this will be the telltale here. How fast does Jory throw the car into turn number 1? Looking a lot better there, but see, it pulls up. It's just like it's got some power issues here this weekend. It's been going really strong up until this point, and look, the boys will put their vlog together. They'll get that going, and we'll find out exactly what happened with that car. But Jory Bretkoff makes it up the hill there, and some telltale signs there. Maybe the noise coming from the engine as they go over the finish line. Kieran Ratcliffe will wait and find out who it's going to be on the bottom step of the podium. There it is. Kieran Ratcliffe going to be your 3rd position this weekend in the Zoo Performance Pro-Am as we go through the Tri-Ace replay.
Yeah, as you can see, like, he throws it in, like, heaps of angle, but unfortunately, yeah, it's like it just stalled up on him, lost power or something. It just corrected, and it was just hard to drive away.
Here we go, the battle for the number 1 spot, though. It's the 2 Jordan. Sanderson leading out over Putkins, and Sanderson, the big ute, goes wide, and he's looking for any amount of traction to pull the car back. Putkins is just tucked in nicely. He just needs to keep the car going. Sanderson, well, one's turbocharged, one's naturally aspirated, plenty of power as they drive up the hill. Sanderson in the dry, though. That car has bulk traction, yeah, but Putkins in the wet.
Yeah, you can see it here. Like, he's just gone offline a bit, and as soon as you go into that wet zone, it's just no drive. He just didn't have the drive to get out of it as good as he's been.
Yeah, he's just sliding all over the spot in that wet zone there, but you can see in the end where it's dry, the car starts to drive away.
Well, strong.
We'll have to wait and see, though, because now he's got to chase down Putkins, his car seems very nimble out there at the moment. It's set up really well. It's driving through the wet and the dry, and he's got all that power of the turbocharged LS on board. Check, he sets it up. He's shallow, though. The wheel goes over the ripple strip there. Sanderson tucks in behind him. Putkins looking ahead, just needs to drive the car. Doesn't quite feel that outer clipping zone, though, and Sanderson behind him. This one's going to be tough for the judges, though, Glenn, because they weren't perfect lead runs from either driver.
No, look, you can see here a good initiation coming in. A good turn 1, shuts the door here, cuts in tight over that ripple strip. Again, shuts the door again. Just, you can hear that limiter going in the background there, but yeah, just wasn't where he needed to be as he finished over the line. Well, let's head down now to the Zoo Performance Pro-Am podium.
Congratulations, you drove away from the SR20 in the end, though.
Yeah, it was a tough battle. It was a good battle with Jory. It's all, the little SR was just an olden song. Yeah.
How do you enjoy this section here at Winton Motor Raceway?
This layout is, it's just 3rd gear, 4th gear pin, the whole layout, and you just don't back off. It's a wicked track.
Mate, tough day today, but plenty of laps out there.
Yeah, no, it was testing conditions, that's for sure. But no, I had plenty of fun.
Look, how does that start off your Pro-Am season, doing Pro as well? What do you think you're going to lean towards? Are you going to try and do both most of the year?
No idea, but definitely probably Pro.
Rainy out there, you had to take up it against the other Jordan. What was it like in those last couple of battles?
Yeah, the last battle definitely patchy out there, and with this rain, it made it a bit tough, but everyone I drove with today and yesterday just putting on a show, and everyone was driving real good.
Congratulations to Jordan Putkins, first time up on the podium for the Zoo Performance Pro-Am.
Yeah, great to see the celebrations from all the drivers. Jordan Sanderson there and Kieran Ratcliffe rounding out your top 3. But we've still got the big one, the Hi-Tec Oils Pro category top 4. The battle for 3rd between a couple of well-known drivers, Brad Toohey and James Abbott. And then it's going to be Benny Hodges taking on Roger Anson to see who's going to be on top of the podium. Here we go. Brad Toohey's got the windscreen wipers back on. It means it's rainy again. And what can James Abbott do as he chases him down? Brad Toohey winds on a whole heap of lock in the Zestino 86. Manages to switch it back though, and he's just driving away from James Abbott, who's struggling to find traction out there at the moment. He's really struggling with the car the last couple of battles as well. He's lucky to make it through into the top 4, and Brad too looking very comfortable back on the podium somewhere. Can he make it into 3rd position for Brad too? We'll check out the tries replay. It almost looks like he's fat arming it out there.
Yeah, inside here now with James, you can see like they're working this car. The conditions is definitely not in their favour. Going from a dry to wet. You see here, both Brad and Jabbit both go offline there.
Great to see Brad Toohey back here in the Hi-Tec Oils series. We know he's had a little bit of a break. He's got a son now. He's loving his family time. He's been doing a few things in the drift community last year, but great to have him back here. And you see he's putting the pressure on to James Abbott, who goes wide.
Off the line. Oh
no, contact made. That was harsh contact too on the front right there for James in the S15, and I'm not quite sure if that's going to cause any damage there. Where did that sit with the judges, Glenn, when it comes to the advantage there? Obviously, James Abbott was offline, came back across Brad Toohey.
Yeah, look, we sat up there and we spoke about how this is going to unfold. Unfortunately, because Jabbit was offline and then come back across, Brad was online, so James has closed the door on him, and unfortunately there was nowhere to go but straight into the side of him. So unfortunately, yeah, it was more in favour for Brad on this than it was for James.
Well, that'll score harshly against James Abbott, and will he make a podium? It's going to be tough. We'll wait and find out, though, but here it is, the battle for the number 1 position. Benny Hodges there inside, chasing down Roger Ianson, who leads out the South Aussie. Can he take home the win? We'll have to wait and find out. Hodges nice and close. He ducks down the inside there, lays the pressure on through turn number 2. Car switches back nicely. They wind on the power. They need to fill these outer clipping zones if they want to get the win. Nicely done by Roger Ianson. Just misses the ripple strip as well and opens up a bit of a gap, and you can see again the track is starting to get wetter in certain parts here as the rain is still falling here at Winton Motor Raceway. Very tough for the drivers.
Like, Roger's delivering the goods here. You can see the line is great, angle, like it's panning out to be a really good run, especially for how slippery it's gotten back out there.
And this is the difference now. Benny Hodges is going to lead us out, and the rain is still falling here on track and changing things up again. It was a bit dry through the first couple of corners and the back straight. We'll see how aggressive he wants to be into turn number 1. Sets himself up nicely there, Benny Hodges. Ianson doesn't let him go too far, puts the nose in. They switch back. It's a nice job, Hodges leaving him room. Ianson keeps the car alongside. They switch back against a bit of a straight in there for Hodges, and he goes out wide, just grabs the ribble strip. And Roger Ianson, it's like a magnet. He's not going anywhere.
To me, that was pretty textbook. Like, he filled all the criteria. Coming into turn 1, pulled in nice onto Ben. Ben sets the pace great. A little bit wide there, but sets a good pace. Enough gap there so that Roger can tuck in. Again, switch back. It was great. Ben finished a little bit off the line there, where Roger delivered a lot better line. That's Roger taking the win in the Hi-Tec Oils Pro category. Let's head down to the podium.
Good to see you back in the series. You're looking very comfortable, like that year off really made you, sit back and enjoy your drifting.
Yeah, like I've always enjoyed the drifting, but yeah, definitely last year just wanted to have a bit of a change of pace. Obviously, as you know, got a young one at home, and yeah, just wanted to change it up, and yeah, had a good time with my little dude, and we've been building BMX tracks and stuff. And to be honest, my car sat on blocks for 5 months before this event, but I had told my sponsors I was definitely coming back to Hi-Tec. George runs the Premier Series here in Australia, so I was always committed to coming back, but I just wanted to try a few other things and did Time Attack and a few other series. So, but yeah, look, it was super hard conditions. I don't know how I got the win over Jabs, to be honest. Like, I must have been such a border call because we both were messy as. Obviously stoked to get 3rd place, but yeah, it was good fun.
You're on the podium. You're in pro. You're on the podium.
Yeah, I know. It's such a turn of events. We come here and had an accident a couple of years ago, and we turned it all around, and here we are. I can't believe it. Yeah, it's wild.
It was tough out there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was real challenging. That weather came in at a tricky time, and running on the semi-slicks, there's not much grip. So, like Jab said, you're a bit of a passenger sometimes.
We've seen you have a bit of success last year over in South Australia. Will you be joining us for the entire series?
Yeah, I'll try to get to all the rounds, just see how things go. Yeah, we got a really good series back in SA, so the Drifting SA crew do a good job, as does the Hi-Tec team, there's 2 great championships going on, so it's fantastic to be a part of both.
Congratulations to Roger. Good to see a new name on the podium there. Boys celebrating away.
Great to have Brad Toohey too back in winning form. Great action here at Winton Motor Raceway for round number 1 of the Hi-Tec Oils Drift Allstars series. Round number 2, we head down to the historic Calder Park in the heart of Melbourne, Victoria, the 6th and 7th of May.
Calder Park's going to be crazy. We've got a total new layout. We've moved away from the Thunderdome. We're going onto the circuit. Final corner will be along that bowl. That's going to be a killer corner to be watching. Be there.
It's going to be fast. It's going to be action-packed. Make sure you're here for the second round of the Hi-Tec Oils Drift All-Stars series at Calder Park, 6th and 7th of May. Be there. Stay with us. It's round 1 of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series up next.